It's Good Better Broker from UWM Live 2026. In this episode, you'll hear from Eric Wilson, Roger Moore, Jason Kindler and Aaron Bacus, Julie Grushoff, Jaxzann Riggs, Kristen Genovese, and Mike Fawaz. It's the Megacast from UWM Live. You don't want to miss it. Welcome back to Good Better Broker at UWM Live 2026. Justin White coming to you from the UWM Sports Complex as we welcome in Eric Wilson, who is a vice president at Freddie Mac. Eric, great to have you with us.
Thanks, Justin. Glad to be here.
So it's a pleasure to have you. This is the first time we've been able to do this, but you guys have been coming to UWM Live for several years now. Tell me what you think of the atmosphere and the energy that you experience at an event like this.
Yeah, for me personally, this is my third year at UWM Live, and it's really hard to explain that my team said, hey, we want you to come out and be part of this. And from the time that you pull into the parking lot and you have folks guiding you to where your parking space is, and every step of the way, it's just absolutely amazing. It's energetic. It's something that we all look forward to as an organization, supporting and being part of. The energy is just tremendous.
Eric, in case not all of our audience members are aware of what Freddie Mac is, can you give us a brief overview of Freddie's role in the industry and more specifically the relationship you guys have with us at UWM?
Sure. And it's funny, you hear Freddie Mac, you hear Fannie Mae. We were in the security line yesterday, and I put my bag through security, and the guard, very nice gentleman, said, "Oh, you're with Freddie Mac?" He goes, I've heard of them, but I've never met an actual person that worked there. And so, it was funny to hear that. I think at the highest level, our goal is, and really simple, we buy loans, right? And so we're in the business to create liquidity in the market. We're really a business to business with banks and mortgage companies that are pooling loans together. We buy them to create liquidity in the marketplace so that they can continue to lend. But more importantly, we have a lot of responsibility in the market. And so when I say responsibility, it's not just buy loans, it's buy the right loans. And so we have to make sure we're maintaining credit quality, good uses of technology to make sure that the investments we're making, a strong focus on affordable housing and first-time home buyers. I think an interesting stat is over 50% of our purchases are actually first-time home buyer. And so, that's what our goal is to make sure that people can have the American dream at all levels within our industry.
Let's talk about you a bit. How did you get your start in the industry, and how did you end up at Freddie Mac in the role you currently have?
Well, Justin, I guess I'll date myself a little bit. I started in the mortgage business in 1995. And,
wow.
I think of my father as we did this. He wasn't in the mortgage business, but I said, Dad, I found this organization, and I had a pretty good, steady job. I said, I found this organization that's local that is doing a 6-week training course on mortgage basics, and you can become a loan originator. And he said, don't fall for it. Interest rates go up and down. You'll be out of a job in 6 months. And that was, 31 years ago. So, I still joke to him about that this day. At the end of the day, I started with this organization, and I was a loan originator. There was tremendous growth there. And I became a loan originator. Then I was a sales manager. Then I had a lot of, credit and operations kind of background that I was doing, and then moved into private label sales. And so we were doing fulfillment services for a lot of large lenders. So I really got a good understanding of the entire mortgage process. And when I looked at an opportunity at Freddie Mac, that was the one part of this business that I hadn't done. And so I was anxious to jump in. It's hard to believe I've been here for 9 years already, but I guess when you're having fun, time goes fast.
Yeah.
For me to be here, it's really important for us. Like, the impact that we make in this industry, right? I really am proud of. And, when you see your results and when you see, somebody in a home, right, at the end of the day, we don't deal directly with that consumer, but we do have a big impact on the industry and what we can do there.
You touched on this a moment ago, but I want to ask you about the areas of focus for Freddie in today's housing market and what brokers should know about the tools and products that Freddie Mac provides.
Yeah, it's a great question, and one of the reasons why we like being here so much, because we get to hear from the brokers. I mentioned we buy loans. Okay, we have to make sure that we're maintaining sound safety and soundness and buying the right credit quality loans. But what we also feel that we're responsible to do is make this process easier, make it easier with technology, make it easier with systems and processes and tools that make it easier for a broker to do a loan, but also for the consumer to receive a lower cost mortgage than what they typically would do. And so, at the highest level, that's what we're really focused on.
You touched on working with a lot of first-time home buyers, and for so many people, that's the goal, right? To achieve that American dream. And you and I were talking before this interview, and you made a really good point that it's difficult for anybody to buy a home. Mm-hmm. So, what is Freddie Mac doing to that end, Eric?
Yeah, I think a lot of the things that I mentioned, from an affordability standpoint, our goal is to, I think of affordability in two areas, right? The first is overall affordability with interest rates and with the housing prices, making sure that we have products and programs that can, benefit borrowers. And then the second part of affordability really is low to moderate income borrowers, right? That want to buy a house, could have the means to buy a house, and really developing products and programs that suit them. And so down payment assistance programs that we partner with companies like UWM. One of our flagship products, Home Possible, is an affordable product that has some benefits and a lower cost. It's been one of the key drivers of first-time home buyers across the country. And so really focus on affordability. The other we're trying to focus on, as I mentioned earlier, is really making it easier. So providing tools and technology that the industry can utilize better. And so when I say, tools, everyone uses our automated underwriting system. So when you originate a loan, you're entering in a mortgage application, it's going through. We're doing a lot in that area to go, hey, this home is in this specific area and we can use a valuation model and you don't need an appraisal. Okay, so doing appraisal waivers. Asset and income modeler. So we have an income calculator and we do a lot of work with vendors so that when a loan is scored and a broker gets a decision, it may say that there's no need to verify their income or their assets, right? And so we give rep and warrant relief to UWM as an organization, but it reduces the documentation, reduces the cost that end user will have. And so trying to make it more simple for folks to utilize our product and sell us more loans.
Let's talk about LPA Choice, because this is something that you guys are really excited about. What is LPA Choice and what impact is it having?
Yeah, that's a great question, and we're really proud of LPA Choice. And the way an automated underwriting system works is you're going to score a loan through there, and it's going to say, hey, accept, congratulations, and here's the feedback and information that you'll need to provide in order to get the mortgage. LPA Choice, what we found was there was a significant need for us to change how a broker, how an originator did business. And there are so many borrowers that a loan is scored through our system and it comes back and it doesn't say accept, it says caution. And typically what has happened in the past is when you see a caution message, the originator is going to make an adjustment and rescore the loan, make an adjustment and rescore the loan. That could happen 10, 15, 20 times to see how they could get that loan to fit into the system. We thought that was just so difficult and so time consuming, and it really wasn't helping those borrowers that were right on the fringe of qualifying. And so we made a change to where when you have a caution, right at the top of the feedback message that you're going to receive, it will say caution. However, if this borrower puts $2,000 more in reserves, or if this borrower does this, do they have another income that they can add? It's really done a tremendous job of what we say turning cautions to accepts, and I think we have close to a 15% caution to accept rate of loans that we think we probably never would have gotten, and the broker or the originator wouldn't have even went down that path. And so the good news too is in a feedback certificate, if they can't get the loan or they don't have the ability to qualify, they can leave that transaction knowing what they need to do. And there's a lot of borrowers that are so close to being able to qualify, and they only need $2,000 more in savings, and they don't know that. And so they say, hey, I can't buy a home. I'm going to go out, I'll buy a car, I'll do whatever I'm going to do, and their life continues. This gives them the keys to understand what they need to do in the future in order to get that home.
That's awesome. I mean, turning those yellows to greens and creating more opportunities. That's outstanding stuff. Eric, where can our mortgage brokers go to get more information on Freddie Mac and its offerings?
So we're here and we represent, we're with UWM and support them. They do a tremendous job with their account executive teams and making sure that the brokers have all the information that they need. From time to time, we do get direct calls. We have FreddieMac.com that they can access and look at guidelines and get information. But we also have, and I think this is a little known fact, an actual call center. So 1-800-FREDDIE. And we have, a call center, and these folks are fantastic. They can answer any question for you. They'll be able to look in the systems, tie it back to who their account executives at UWM will be. And so, there's a lot of focus that, no matter where they're calling, we're going to get them to the right place.
Awesome stuff. Well, Eric, we appreciate you and the team being here to support the UWM and broker community. And of course, everything that Freddie Mac does to support the housing industry. So thanks for being here. Eric Wilson with Freddie Mac. We appreciate you.
Thanks, Justin. Thank you.
Good Better Broker continues from UWM Live 2026 as we welcome in Roger Moore. He is the president and founder of Loan Pronto, based in Charlotte, North Carolina. Roger, great to have you here.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Well, I got to ask you, as somebody who's been in the business now for over 20 years, and you started Loan Pronto 9 years ago, what do you think about the fact that an event like this exists where so many brokers from around the country come together to collaborate and celebrate what everyone is doing to give back to the overall housing market?
Well, I just look back to 7-8 when we were kind of on life support, and everybody thought the broker channel was dead and not going to survive, and we caught a lot of the flack from the crisis that happened, and to see how far it's come since its total trough, back in 08 and 09, it's awesome, because I think that the channel is so incredibly valuable to clients and agents and the loan officers that exist within it. And so to see UWM supporting it and just the overall channel really growing, and not only growing, but it's maturing. I mean, I was talking to somebody last night, and it's not just a bunch of 1s and 2 shops around the country. I mean, these are some complex platforms and frameworks and companies that are really being built using technology that would have you never thought to see this in the community, in the broker channel 8-9 years ago. And to see how complex and just how good it is now is great. I mean, we love to see it, and we love the support you guys give us, and I love to see what's happening in the community.
Well, you guys are down in Charlotte, and you're doing your thing. As I mentioned, next year will be 10 years for you guys as a company. You were telling me that what you do really well is stay in your lane.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you, Roger?
I call them shiny objects. Like when you run a business of any type, especially the mortgage business, there's so much noise around you. And the thing about the broker channel in general, there's so many ways to do this. I mean, I know a lot of people in the UWM brokers and brokers around the country. I talk with a lot of them, and everybody does something so different. And what I've found over time is, I say, don't chase shiny objects. There's a lot of noise around you. There's a lot. You got AI and this lead source, that lead source, this way to get business, that way to get business. And where I see a lot of companies fail, this probably isn't just mortgage, it's probably business in general, is, the CEO or the person running the company gets distracted, and they try to change what they do really well in lieu of something they don't really know that well. It's not one of their core values, or what they just don't do it well. And so what I've really tried to stay focused on over time is what we do really well, which is marketing to the consumer, bringing in business from that way, customer retention. I try to hire a certain type of employee within the company, And I do experiment, I'll veer off a little bit, just to kind of see what's out there. But my success over time, the reason we've done so incredibly well through all these market cycles is we just find out what we do, a core competency, do really well. And we just totally lean into it with everything we got. And then the more we do that, the better we do. And I think that's probably a really good way to run a business. Experiment, test out AI, test out this, but just really do what you do well, your core competency. Spend a lot of money on it and lean into it and give it hell.
For somebody like you, it's interesting because there are so many shiny objects out there. And there are a lot of newer LOs, newer brokers who could easily get distracted by that. What's your advice on how you avoid that and kind of have that tunnel vision that you were just talking about?
Ask questions, listen to people, get advice. Don't assume that because somebody else is doing something well, you'll do it really well. Like, we do radio exceptionally well. And I would suffice to say there's maybe one other company or two that I know of that even almost do it well. If you don't do radio well, you probably shouldn't get into it. And mailers or lead buy or rate tables, they all work at scale. But just don't get distracted. Find out test around, find out what you do well, and stay in that lane. And I think you'll do really, really well.
You were telling me that cash out refis have been really, really successful for you guys lately. What's been the approach there?
So our approach is really simple. Back in 2022, when rates started really increasing, I was telling you before we got on this today that we were so far ahead of the curve on marketing to HELOC business, because right now nobody wants to really refinance, and to even refinance, you really have to get you have to throw some bait out there and get them in and reel them in. And so what we do very well is we advertise across the nation on XM, local radio. I think we spend like $3.3 to $3.4 million a year on advertising. We advertise all HELOCs. And the goal there is to get people in the door and analyze them, because a HELOC doesn't work for everybody. Also, doesn't make sense for everybody. But you just got to get the phones to ring and people to get on the website, website activity up. And then when you get those people in the door, then you can sell them into a full refinance. And so really converting, we call it the HELOC flip. It's because we're looking to flip HELOCs into first mortgages. And it's not as rate sensitive. And right now, people, I don't know what's the current, like 1.4 trillion probably right now in credit card debt across the nation. And it's not getting better. And what we find is that people love that message. And in fact, our radio ads say you don't have to touch your first mortgage. To be clear, we want you to touch your first mortgage. And often you should touch your first mortgage, but you got to get them in the door, and that is a beautiful way to do it.
You have assembled this roster of younger LOs. I mean, a lot of them are millennials, Gen Z, and there's a specific strategy there for you. What is that?
It's multi-pronged. When I started the business, I looked around and I said there's just a lot of, listen, there's nothing wrong with being older, but I felt like the channel lacked young talent. I mean, when I first got into mortgages, everybody went there because you make a lot of money quickly, and then it kind of died. And so when I started the Loan Pronto back in 2017, I didn't really hire anybody with mortgage experience for quite a while, and I just wanted some really young, passionate people from different backgrounds, different companies, and I wanted them to mold them into what we think the way things should be done. And I've certainly hired people from other mortgage companies in the meantime. But a lot of my talent from top down came from very different businesses and industries. And I don't want to, I don't have to deal with their pre-existing way they look at things, the bad habits they learned at a different company. I didn't want to hear about any of that. I wanted a whole new, fresh perspective on how we could originate loans and make the customer happy. And so that's really what we strive to find is young talent, that has room to grow and learn our system, learn our culture, and a place that they want to stay and call home for a long period of time. Yeah,
and like you said, you can train them your way. They haven't been anywhere else, so they don't know anything other than what you guys are teaching them.
And they're less likely to leave too. We have our retention rate is. I couldn't find somebody with a better retention rate than us right now. It's because of that.
It's very impressive, and maybe not coincidentally with that younger presence you have in your shop. You guys have a huge presence on social media. How has that helped bring in business?
It helps. You can't always quantify it. You probably media really well. I mean, what you have to say is, we do know that people are looking on social media, looking on the internet, and they're doing a lot of due diligence before they engage with somebody. And you don't always, most people they overthink social media and they think, well, I'm not getting likes. It's not really worth it, or they quit too early. What we try to have is a sustained strategy over a long period of time. We look at engagement levels, and we know that we can't quantify every deal that we get from it, but we know at scale over long periods of time, it does move the needle. So we have a very consistent presence. Some of my LOs do, not all of them do. It's not for everybody. You know, I don't make anybody do it, but what you find is the people that do it over time, they do see results from it. It may be one deal a month, it may be 3 deals a month. But we make a very consistent presence of social media since really, I mean, one of my first employees I hired was a social media manager. It was my 3rd employee. So we really thought really deeply into that strategy since day one.
Well, it's always great to catch up with you and hear about all the great things you guys have going on down there. So keep up the awesome work and enjoy the day today. Roger Moore with Loan Pronto. Thanks for being here, man. We appreciate
it, brother.
You.
Have a wonderful day.
Back here on Good Better Broker at UWM Live 2026, as we say hello to Aaron Bacus and Jaxzann Kindler, the broker owners of First Coast Mortgage Funding out of Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Yes.
Aaron, Jaxzann, great to have you guys here.
Yeah, man, this is great. Thanks for inviting us. This is awesome.
Yep. Thank you, Justin, and we appreciate being on here, and what a great scene this is.
Yeah, let's start right there because this is the first time you guys have been to UWM Live. Jaxzann, tell me, what are your thoughts on the event so far?
Yeah, so first time at UWM Live, been to tons of different mortgage conferences and everything, but of course, you know, I'm sure there's a team behind it that has just made this very special. Of course, UWM, everything you guys do, everything's so organized, and then the speakers have been phenomenal, and then, you know, we just got to hear Matt, and of course he rolled out some new stuff to help us brokers. So we definitely have had a great time.
Absolutely. Well, UWM's always the king of rolling out something new, and it was no different today with some new incentives, some great things going on. The energy is always amazing at UWM because, let's be honest, you know, trekking up to Pontiac, Michigan, you're kind of and then you get here and you're ready to roll. So we're excited.
Yeah, the vibes are always high, and like you said, it doesn't hurt to have a little incentive that gets announced, which is going to be great for everybody.
Absolutely.
Let's talk a little bit about you guys have built and grown your company. Aaron, how did you guys get to the point where you are now 6 years in at First Coast Mortgage Funding?
Yeah, well, it started about 6 years ago where Jaxzann and I worked together, and we kind of had a dream of, hey, how can we do this better? We were working at a big retail operation that was doing a lot of great things and working with a builder. But we kind of came to the realization, what can we do to go to the next level and do it on our own? Because really all we wanted to do in the beginning was find a place that we could originate. We both originated a high level. Jaxzann has done builder business forever, and that's where the idea started, just us. And then over the years, people have followed us, have come our way. We're grateful for that. And we made a decision probably about 2.5 years ago at this point. Do we want to stay small, which is no problem? Or do we want to get bigger? Do we want to have more people under the tent? And that's what we did. And now we're up to, I don't know, close to 70 employees going on our 6th year.
Yep.
That's amazing. Jaxzann, when you think about the growth, a big part of it is what you guys are doing to grow your brand and your awareness. And part of that is the podcast that you guys do. You guys are no strangers to the podcast format. So glad to have you here on Good Better Broker. But what was the intent behind the podcast, and tell us how it's been going?
Yeah, I think the thing is with us is that we really focused on local. So, you know, that's how we started the company and how we grew it. And most of our employees are in, you know, pretty much our backyard or at least our state. But basically with the podcast is we had the idea that, hey, let's do a podcast, but nobody's going to listen to just a mortgage podcast, you know, if we're trying to grow our presence. And what we ended up doing was we ended up saying, okay, let's build something that we recognize the people in Jacksonville, Florida that make our city run. And so we've been fortunate enough to have, you know, people reach out to us after we started to get rolling and want to be on the podcast. So it's we talk about, you know, people that are, some have been, you know, little celebrities in town, some of them, celebrities in their own right. We've had nonprofits on there. We've had, you know, we focused on people that make our city run. That a lot of podcasts just talk to the billionaires or the millionaires, and we wanted to just have everyone, a policeman, a firefighter, like things like that. So that was the intent, and it's done very well.
Yeah, in another way that you guys have kind of leaned into this approach with content is local news.
Yep.
You mentioned, Jason, that you guys are focused on the local market.
Yep.
Aaron, tell me about what you guys have done to garner some attention from the local news stations there.
Well, it was fortunate. News4Jax had a reporter, Tiffany, who reached out to Jason, and this was probably about a year ago, the first article or news track that came out about affordability. And since then, Jason's done several interviews with her. When she has a question about mortgages, housing, things like that, he is the go-to. So light bulb came on that one. The first one, the phone rang off the hook, because she was kind enough to shout us out in the segment that she did, and we've kind of grown it from there.
That's amazing, and it's such a good point, because there's a lot of opportunity around the country, and I tell our clients this a lot. If you have that opening to get yourself on TV in your local market, and you are able to speak in a knowledgeable way about mortgages and real estate in general, they are going to come back to you, and I'm sure that's been the case for you.
Yeah, and the first time it was, she did reach out to me, and I never really, I need to ask her, but I never asked her, how did you get my name? But that first time it was, I have the knowledge, and I'm sure there's other cities in the country, like if you're listening to this podcast, or you're like, most people are doing some type of housing or some type of affordability. It's a great way to get recognized, get your name out there, and then see where it goes from there.
My guess is that she got your name through social. I mean, since we've started the company, that has been our focus, and we have a great marketing team that does it. But my guess that's probably where she got it.
Yeah, and speaking of, you guys are generating loans, Aaron, directly through social.
Yes.
How are you doing that?
It's been a process, and we have a great leader, Jen Kramer, who's led that team. It's been an evolution, probably of over a year and a half of figuring out what works, trying new strategies. But yeah, we've been able to generate organic leads that come to our loan officers from our social media advertising through different advertising venues of no down payment, equity line, investor, things along those lines. But it really comes down to the process that Jen has put together. And it's really taken off. We're excited about it.
I think, just to jump in on that, I think that what we did on the social media side, and Katie Parker, our creative director, when we hired her, we told her, hey, we're a mortgage company, but we don't need to talk about mortgages, right? Let's just be real, authentic, and the marketing team takes off with that. And so, not only are organic, but now the ads are matching the organic. So it's done very well, and it's exclusive. So we're not, buying leads and, doing the traditional direct to consumer.
Another area, Jason, that you guys are heavily invested in is technology.
Yeah.
What stands out about the impact of that on your business?
Yeah. So, a couple years ago, I decided that I was going to learn different technologies, different CRMs that people were using. AI was very new at the time, things like that. So what I decided was, hey, if there's a way to become more efficient, right, let's dive all in. And so now I could say, just in the last year, where we were a year ago to compared to where we are now, we're fully embraced in, trying different things, fully embraced in trying the technology. Even, like UWM came out with the AI caller, Mia, things like that, and now we're seeing such an evolution in it. I mean, we are a tech forward company.
And a couple of those things real quick is we embraced AI full in. We have it integrated into all of our systems. We're running underwriting through it. And then we also made the decision a couple years ago to develop our own ecosystem that we call core, CRM, marketing, all of that, instead of just using a generic system out there. So those are the things that we really feel good about with our technology.
And I would just say too, is that, comparatively to where, we talk about, a big company can't make moves like we can, meaning like they can't operate, like it's a whole overhaul Whereas an independent broker, we can, compliance and make sure security's locked down and everything like that. But we can do things so much faster.
Yeah, you're nimble. You can
Totally.
you can adjust real quickly. It's great. Another really cool thing you guys do that I want to ask you about, Aaron, is this realtor portal that you created. Tell me about the value that is providing.
Well, it's Jason's ingenuity and thought process through AI and developing tools that give real value to our realtor partners, because we're referral, the majority of our business, and it's important for us to take care of those realtors. So Jason figured it out. It rolls out a new tool every month that realtors can use, like a headshot generator, social media calendar, a net sheet, a picture generator where you literally can put in the ideas you have in your head, create me a picture, and it does that for you. So it's gotten real traction, and most of all, it gives our loan officers something to give to their realtors.
Well, you guys embody so many of the things that Matt was talking about, today, especially with how much you've embraced technology. And I think it's a great point what you just said. Yeah, we're really busy. We have a lot going on, but technology is helping take some of that off of our plate.
Totally.
So hats off to you guys. Thanks for being here. Enjoy the rest of your first UWM Live. Hopefully you're back every single year after this.
We will 100% be back. The one thing I appreciate you having us on the podcast here, and I'll just speak out to anyone who hasn't been to UWM Live. It's awesome. Get here. The other thing that I love is that it's one full packed day. It doesn't span over 4 or 5 days. So.
Efficiency, man. You know how Matt rolls.
Absolutely.
Jason Kindler, Aaron Bacus from First Coast Mortgage Funding. Thanks for being here, guys.
It's great.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Man. Appreciate it.
Good Better Broker continues from UWM Live 2026 as we say hello to Julie Grushoff from Clear Choice Lending out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Julie, hello.
Hi.
Great to have you here. We were just joking about this, so I'm just going to jump right into it.
Jump right in.
You love UWM Live. You wouldn't miss it, but there was a time in the distant past that you were not as big of a fan of UWM. So tell us, Julie, how did that all change?
Well, yeah, I mean, it wasn't that I was a hater. I was just kind of in my own flow of other lenders, and I was doing great. And it was like, I didn't really think I was missing anything, and I thought there was a lot of hype, right? So then I went to my first AIM in Vegas, which was amazing. And my partner and I were walking around, and there was thousands of brokers, and I had never been in a room with that many mortgage brokers in my life. And it was that in itself was incredible. But everybody's laptop had UWM, and we were like, what's going on? And then I saw Matt Ishbia speak for the first time, and like, hand to God, I didn't know who he was. And I said to my partner, I'm like, he's so cute. Who is that? And he's like, are you kidding me? That's Matt Ishbia. And I was like, who's Matt Ishbia? And he's like, he's the CEO of UWM. And I'm like, oh. So then we ended up doing a couple loans because he lowered the rates a lot. And then I was like, this is different than anything I've ever done. It's all easy, and there's no struggle. And it took so much of the stress of my life and my job out of what I was doing. And I was like, all right, let's do some more. And then I just kept doing it. And then now I can honestly say that, and I've only ever been a broker. I've never been in retail. It's the only thing I've ever known. Nobody's ever done more for my business or the broker channel. And it's just obvious. I mean, look at this. You know, we're here, and you can see thousands of brokers that are getting the best experience and helping their business grow. No other lender does that. So, you know, I'm a fan.
I just love the fact that you had FOMO because you're looking around at everybody's laptop and you see UWM's website and you're saying to yourself, I need to check this out.
Yes, and we checked it out, and I mean, the rest is history, but it's been a great ride.
So, speaking of 25 years for you in the business now, and you were telling me that you still love it just as much as when you got started.
I do.
Why do you feel that way?
I think it's something innately in me. I just love the industry, so I don't think everybody has that. I know I do. So I always have. From my first loan I ever closed until even now, when my phone rings, I still get that feeling. Like, I'm just grateful that somebody's trusting me with such a huge milestone in their life. And, you know, it's not easy what I do, but knowing that I'm helping people the way that I do every day, it just makes it so fulfilling. It gives me so much gratifying energy every day.
You were also telling me, Julie, that you love to help people who are going through things.
Yes.
Why?
Because I think over the years and as I've evolved, I was 22 years old when I started. So I was just like trying to figure out life. Now as I'm more mature and have been through my own life things, it's not just me giving somebody money, it's me having a full-blown consultation. And sometimes I feel like I moonlight as a therapist, we get in the weeds, we talk about what's going on in their life. And I think because of that, it's exploded my business, and I know we talked about a little, like I went through a divorce in 2020 and it completely rocked my world. And I dealt with clients that were also going through divorce prior, but I didn't handle it the same way that I do now. Now it's like, I stop everything. I'll be on the phone sometimes hours talking people through what's a very difficult time. But in that, it builds relationships that last forever. And that's how you build business.
And that's how you have built a network of referrals that your business depends on.
Yes.
How do you keep them coming?
I think that a few things that I know I do consistently is I do little things consistently instead of doing big things, periodically. So daily, I'm showing up every single way that I know needs to keep things moving to get referrals, whether that just be answering the phone at 10 o'clock when I know my client is, losing their mind over something. I'm going to do that. Is it always what I want to do? Do I want to stop what I'm doing? And no, I don't. But I realize if I was in their shoes, I'm a big believer in treat people the way you want to be treated. That's how I was raised. My dad said that to me every chance he got. So if I go right to, if I was laying in bed and I was bugging out, I would love if somebody would just answer me so I can sleep, so I'll do that. And I also always do what I say I'm going to do. There will never be a time if I say I'm going to call you back or I don't know, but let me find out. I'm never ghosting you. You're going to know. And then it builds that reputation amongst my agents, amongst my clients that I think really sets me apart. And that builds a business also.
You are one of these LOs that is not afraid to go deep with your clients. And you were just kind of alluding to this, saying that sometimes you'll be on the phone for an hour or two talking through something with someone.
Yes.
To you, what does it mean to truly go deep with a client?
It means to be a good listener. They don't want to hear me talk. They want to talk. They want to tell me their things. Do I have my own things going on? Do I have 50 people to call back? Yeah. But if you take the time and you listen to what they want, you can give them what they want. That's really the whole math equation of sales. Listen, find out what they want, and hand them what they want. I'm not trying to give them something that I think is best for them. That's another thing that I've changed a lot over the last few years is I might think that what I know is, or what I would do is the right choice, but it's not. Like I have, like I can use an example. I have tons of friends that love country music. I don't like it, but I'm still going to be friends with you. I still think you're cool. It's not my choice. Same thing with a loan. You might want to choose to pay $20,000 to pay your rate down. It's not what I would do, but I'm going to let you tell me what you want and I'm going to give it to you. And I'm not going to try to tell you it's not the right way to go.
It's interesting too, because you were saying that it's almost in situations like people will say, well, Julie, what would you do if you were me? And I'm sure that they want you to tell them that because they are genuinely confused about what they should do.
100%.
But it's not always going to be what you would do is the best thing for them.
Exactly. If they ask me for that, then I'm going to tell them. But if they don't, I'm not going to just push my views of what I think is best if they already have an idea of what they think is best. I'm going to do what they want.
So you said you're always available for your clients, and that's obviously huge. But what about the communication methods and how you figure out, how is the best way to communicate with each client?
I asked them.
What a concept.
I know. It didn't always work that way, and I would get frustrated. But now you have to meet people where they at. It's 2026, right? If someone wants to communicate and take a nap, over Instagram DM, I'm there for it. If they want to do it on TikTok, which I've done many, I'm here. I prefer texting as my communication if I can. But if someone if you have an older person, they want to get on the phone every question they have. And I know that. So I'm doing it. I'm doing the things even when I don't want to.
Can you imagine 22-year-old Julie communicating like very important parts of a loan process through a social media app?
No. I would have been like, what? I was old
What's
school.
TikTok?
Yeah, Matt was talking to the fax machines. I was right there. I was driving my docs to the lender sometimes to get it closed that month. It was a totally different world.
Well, you've adopted and adapted, like Matt was talking about.
Yes.
For newer LOs that are, still trying to find their way in this business, what do you tell them?
I tell them it's difficult. It is really hard being young and starting out in this business because you don't have the experience. And I was talking to my partner about this last night. We're in that sweet spot. I can work with a 25-year-old and an 80-year-old, and we can kind of relate to both. But when you don't have the experiences, it's hard. So you have to shine in other ways, be a master at the products, learn them all, and help newer agents also, because there are shining stars in every generation coming up. And if you find someone and you are committed to helping them grow, and I've done that for years, it's like, oh, wow, look at my baby grow. You go from 1 to 5 a month, and it's a relationship they'll never leave because you've helped them. So if you pour in and serve your agents and your clients and just put them first and not yourself first, it will grow organically.
It's a great message. You've been doing a lot more video content on social. In fact, you and I, we chatted a few weeks back, and I saw a video you posted, and it was just really valuable information. I believe it was about what was going on with rates and how it might impact somebody's decision to buy now versus later.
Yeah.
How do you approach what you're going to post on social?
It's hard. I think it's really difficult because we're in mortgages, and how many times are people looking at mortgage content when they need a mortgage, right? So that is a struggle that I think every loan officer deals with, is just posting stuff that is valuable, right? So I really only post things. I'm not big on reviews or I closed 20 loans. You'll never see that on my content. It's valuable. Do I think this is going to help anybody? One person, I'm good. Then I'll post it. So I've been trying to do that more and more. I have received a lot of business from it. It works. I thought TikTok was a joke. Now I'm obsessed with TikTok now because I have 3 teenagers. The only way that I could talk to them was by getting on TikTok and messaging them there. So now our love language with each other is sharing TikTok.
Amazing.
So I was like, I feel like I could get business from this, right? I started posting all of a sudden, and I posted one on divorce actually. All of a sudden I started getting millions of DMs, not millions, several DMs. I probably closed 6 loans just from that one video. So I was like, I can't be a hater. I have to just join it. It works. It works. No matter how many people don't like it, it works.
So you mentioned that you have 3 teenagers.
I do.
I have to ask you, because this business can be all-consuming, how do you manage it all?
Yeah, that's a loaded question. It's hard, I'm a single mom of 3 kids. My oldest is now not a teenager, is 20 now, but they've grown up with it, and I think it was really a mindset shift when they were younger. Was I can't feel guilty for having both. I want to do both. I want to be a present mom, and I want to be there for everything, and I am, but I also want to have a big, beautiful business, and I do. So the way that I kind of shifted that was I have to get rid of the mom guilt, which is really hard, but my kids have watched me build a business and they're proud of me and they're part of it, So what I mean by that is I'll be in the car, even when they were little, and if my phone rings, yeah, maybe we're turning off Taylor Swift in our jam session, but I'm like, I need to take this. And they listen to me. And then and they don't talk, they just, they're very respectful. When I hang up, they actually, I'm like, wow, you've listened. They have questions. They understand. They're like, that was really nice how you helped that person. And they get that. And I'm more proud of that than anything. They can see what I'm doing and they know it's for them. And they're proud of it, and they understand this whole business. I talk about it all the time. My dad didn't do that with me, and he was in finance, and he worked for Merrill Lynch for 40 years. I wish he would have talked to me, but he didn't. So I was like, I'm going to tell my kids as much as I can, and they really understand my business because of it. And I think it makes up for maybe the times where I would wish I could be hanging out, but I'm doing a little work. But I also I don't miss anything. And if I have to take a phone call while I'm at the soccer field, I take a phone call. I wait until it's halftime, but I take the phone call. I have boundaries in place for sure, but I don't mind incorporating my job into my life because to me, it just puts me into a well-rounded person. Work is part of my life and I love what I do. And it's not like I'm sacrificing anything else. It's just incorporating it.
Yeah.
So that helps you balance. But I think balance is a BS word.
Yeah. What is balance anyway?
It's not. It's just learning how to roll with all of it and do it the best you can.
Find time for the things that are important to you.
And I always do that.
You're doing a great job, and thanks for sharing that story about your kids. That was really sweet. Just about, you being in the car with them and them truly getting a real appreciation for, not just what you do for a living, but for the way that you treat people. And that obviously is very evident in the way that you do your business. So thanks for being here. We appreciate you.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you.
Julie Grushoff from Clear Choice Lending. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Welcome back to Good Better Broker at UWM Live as we say hello to Jaxzann Riggs, who is the broker owner of the Mortgage Network, and she is from Denver. Jaxzann, great to have you with us.
Well, it's fun to be here. It's nice to be across the table because I've been listening for probably 6 or 7 years to your podcast.
I so appreciate that. And, we just love to catch up with people, especially clients of ours who have been with us for some time. And Jaxzann, this is a crazy number that you have been in the mortgage business now for 40 years.
41 this summer.
We don't want to shortchange you.
Yeah, that last one's important.
What has it been like to have such longevity in a business like this?
It's been amazing. It's amazing. It's so many things have changed and so many things have not changed. So,
when you reflect back on all this time you have had in this business, what stands out the most to you? What's most memorable about your time as a mortgage loan originator?
Well, always the people. I mean, it's absolutely the people, of course. The circumstances change. I mean, there were interest rates. When I started the Mortgage Network, interest rates were 17%. And of course, we've seen interest rates at 3%, at 6.5% now, maybe 6.25%. Really, we're lower than we have been historically. That's one of the things that has changed. Technology has changed dramatically. You might not remember this, you won't remember this, but there was an era when we had pagers. And you always had to have a few dimes in your pocket because you were going to need to find a payphone. And it would be raining when your pager went off, inevitably. You'd be on the side of the road trying to respond to a realtor. But what hasn't changed is that you have to be able to do it quickly. You have to be able to respond to people and you have to answer your phone.
So I actually had a pager.
You did?
In my very first job when I was working in the TV business, I had a pager. I did. I'm dating myself, but
so you
I
know exactly what I'm referring to.
I know.
And when the pager went off, it was such a great thing because you'd worked all week long to make the phone ring. And then finally somebody was pulling your chain, so to speak.
In this case, for me, it was something is breaking, some news story is breaking, and they need me to go in a different direction. But yes, I understand what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Jaxzann, your business revolves around two things: realtors and referrals.
Absolutely.
Tell me about that.
Well, my realtor partners, by maintaining those relationships, which I really value, I think I'm one of the fortunate loan officers who just genuinely enjoys realtors. And I pick those that I particularly like, and I work very, very hard for them. I feel like that's been something that's kept me in good stead with my clients. And of course, they refer borrowers to me. And having been in the business for actually longer than 40 years, I have a base of people, I have families that I've worked with that are, it's a real joy to do what we do.
And you really break it down to some of the fundamentals, because I was asking you, Jaxzann, what do you do well? And you were telling me there's 3 things. You answer the phone, you tell the truth, and you don't dodge problems.
Absolutely. The reality is it's people who, we're all human and we're going to make mistakes. And I think most people will forgive that if you say the truth and you keep your eye on the ball, that we have a buyer that wants to buy and a seller that wants to sell. And we just need to get them to the table. And has always been my strategy. And there have been times when I've had to pay to close loans because somebody made a mistake. I may have made it, somebody on the team made it, but I always say mistakes pay, and we're going to take care of it if something goes wrong. So
back to your realtors for a moment, because there are a few different ways that you try to keep them happy. And one of the main things, and I think this is so important, we were actually just talking about this, is asking them how they would like to be communicated with.
Well, sure. And understanding what their specific needs are. I have a number of clients that I think really value the fact that when they turn a referral over to me, it might not, this client might not close this week or next month or maybe even next year, but those people are in my database and I will continue to massage them gently without being pesky until they turn into buyers. And I think that agents appreciate that because they need to be out focused on the clients that can actually buy or sell today. So I was thinking about things that have changed, and there would be another example of it. When I started in the mortgage industry, my CRM was a box that held 3 by 5 cards.
Index cards.
Yeah. Exactly. And that was my database. And I worked it, managed it constantly. And I do the same thing. I just do it now with technology. I do it, with the CRM. But am committed to that same kind of follow-up.
Yeah, what are you using? Tell me about your follow-up system these days.
I use Levitate, and it's just a simple CRM. Obviously, my borrowers are matched to my realtors. I have automations. It's been so much fun today to hear some of the people at Live talk about their follow-through, and there's always a place where we need to be better, where we can always refine what we're doing, and it's been exciting to see that.
Let's talk about your team, because you only hire experienced LOs and you have a list of non-negotiables for them.
Absolutely.
What are they?
Absolutely. Answer your phone calls. Always say the truth. Remember that we don't have gray. We have black and we have white. So in terms of ethics and reliability, we make investment quality loans. We protect our partners. We protect our wholesale partners, and those are the main things. Keep our clients happy. Those are the fundamentals.
And if they do those things, you're right. And if they do those things, you basically leave them alone.
Absolutely, yeah. Our loan officers, I think we have probably 20 loan officers that have been with the mortgage network. This is stunning to me. When these numbers come out of my mouth, it's hard for me to believe. But 20 plus years. And again, as long as they have happy clients, how they generate their business is up to them.
So you look at the industry, and you were telling me it's crazy to hear it. When you first got in, rates were 17%. So that's just perspective, people. Like, when you think about the fact that they were once 17%, 6.5% today, doesn't seem so bad. But when you look at the importance of home ownership in America, what's your take on that?
I think that's what I love about what I do. I get to help people fulfill the American dream. The American dream. People build generational wealth through home ownership, but even much more importantly, home ownership it's an emotional. People are grounded when they own a home. They see their lives differently, and I am just honored to have been able to help so many families achieve that dream, and to watch them grow and prosper. And it's a gift.
And with these first-time homebuyer clients, in today's market, how are you approaching them?
Same way I always have, and that is to provide them with as much information as I can. They need to know what the next steps are. I try to remind myself that I may know what the process is, but they don't. And if they can know what every step of the way is, I think they're more relaxed, and the process is easier for them.
It's great to talk to you and just hear how much you still are enjoying what you do. And it's so apparent. It's so apparent that you love this business and you're doing it for all the right reasons. And we so appreciate having you as a partner of ours. So keep up the great work, and thanks for being with us, Jaxzann. We really appreciate it.
It's been fun. Thank you.
Back on Good Better Broker at UWM Live 2026 as we bring in Kristen Genovese. She is a mortgage loan originator with CMS Mortgage Solutions from Chesapeake, Virginia. Kristen, great to have you with us.
Thanks so much for having me.
You have been with CMS for 14 years now, and in this business, that is an eternity.
Yes, it is.
Safe to say you like it there.
Yes, I love CMS. Karina Carter is amazing, and there's no place like CMS.
Well, one of your coworkers and your account executive, when I told them that you were going to be a guest on this podcast, they said there is no person more deserving because you are the hardest worker that they know.
I try to be.
What does that mean to you to hear your colleagues say that about you?
It means so much to me because I do pour everything I have into what I do, and I'm the type of person where no matter what it is, no matter what is being asked, I'm always willing, roll up sweatpants and put in the work.
You know, it's funny. You're in mortgages, and everybody says, "Well, I didn't mean to get into this business. It just kind of happened."
Yes.
For you, you thought you were going to be a sports agent for NFL players.
I did. That was my dream coming out of college, and here I am, a mortgage broker. But I love it.
You realize you still could do that. I know you're probably a little too busy right now, but eventually, maybe.
Just a little bit, yes. But maybe we'll flip it and we'll do mortgages for NFL players.
See? And the fact that you and I are sitting across the table from each other right now, you know, we're going to play nice because you are a New York Giants fan.
Yes.
I'm from Boston, so I am a
And
Patriots
I'm from
fan. You're from Jersey.
so,
Yeah,
yes.
so as much success as the Patriots have had, we have those two little blips in the Super Bowl,
Yes.
both against your Giants.
Both against us. That's why we're on opposite sides of the table.
Exactly. We got, I don't know, about
A
5
good
feet or so
barrier.
between us. So you have held pretty much every position at CMS. How, in your mind, did those experiences prepare you for what you're doing now?
I really think it prepared me because it allowed me to see everything from the back end to the front end. And it really, truly showed me that, you know, communication is key, teamwork, consistency. And it really, truly shows you, you know, the ins and outs of every aspect of taking a loan from beginning to end, compliance, structuring, even, you know, once the loan is closed, what happens after it closes instead of just, you know, it's done. So for me, it was really, truly, and starting my career literally beside Karina, you know, in her office, literally listening to every single conversation she had with clients, realtors, business partners. It truly shaped how I am today and, you know, how I am in the business.
I would have to think that based on you wearing all those hats, that people still come up to you and ask you questions about things that have nothing to do with what it is you are doing today.
Yes, and I'm always willing to help, whether it's, you know, training our new loan officers, mentoring them, whether it's throwing in my marketing 2 cents. I'm always willing to help, whether it's, you know, helping on the processing calls or anything like that.
Kristen, you do not see yourself as a salesperson. How do you see yourself?
I think more of a educator and relationship builder. I think for me, it truly means more than just being a salesperson. Once my clients are my clients, they're family. You know, it doesn't end at the closing table. It's, you know, taking those next milestones together and, you know, whatever those next steps may be 10, 15 years down the road, you know, that's what I'm building.
And you want to become, as you put it, that person for all your clients on all their transactions. How do you do that?
For me, it is, and just recently, I did have a client that closed, and their moving truck, they were military, they were PCSing to Virginia, and their moving truck was, let's say, 10 days late, and they were living out of what they came to Virginia with, and they had 2 small children, and I had an open house in their neighborhood, and I texted them. I was like, hey, I know the moving truck is scheduled to come today. I know it's late, but you know, let me stop by, let me come hang out for a little while. And I sat and played with their kids. They, you know, we hung out, we played cars on the floor, we watched Toy Story, watched the new Toy Story trailer. And to me, that's what matters is, you know, it's a lifelong friendship. It's not just, you're not just my clients.
And you got to hang with their little kiddos.
Yes.
Amazing. So you were kind of talking about this, but you really do view your clients as family. What is it about you that makes you see them that way?
I truly think, you know, I don't approach anything like sales. I truly like to educate them and make sure, you know, you're understanding everything from start to finish, no matter what it is. And I just had, actually today, she actually just texted me a closing, and it was a girl I went to high school with, and we have not talked since 2008 when we graduated high school, but she reached out to me because she saw my social media. She knows what I do, and she, to me, you know, it resonated with her what I did, and we still have that friendship, and we still, you know, can communicate this many years after high school, and it's based on what I've built.
So you said she saw you because of your socials.
Mm-hmm.
Has that played a part in your business?
Yes. I don't do as much social media as I should, but I do like to, you know, and not always all the wins. Sometimes it is the struggles we have to post about, and, you know, what we're doing always within CMS, and, you know, giving back, and how we are continuing to build and educate agents, other loan officers, and just our peers in general.
You mentioned the family that you helped, a veteran family. VA loans are a big part of your business.
Yes.
How are you carving out that as a niche for yourself?
So for the Hampton Roads area, we're one of the largest areas for any military buyers with all of the bases. And for me, it is, and a lot of my business is referral based. 99% of it is referral based. So helping my veteran clients and making sure they're educated on the VA loans, because it is a very undereducated loan program that kind of is frowned upon sometimes, and making sure the agents are educated and the buyers as well, because they don't know what truly they have in front of them, and making sure they take advantage of it. Another
really cool thing about you, you're an author. Yes. You wrote a book excerpt about renovation loans, and I think this is really interesting because, there are so many people who are reluctant to give up that 2.5-3% rate. They would much rather stay in their home and do a full-scale renovation. What was that experience like for you, writing that book excerpt?
So I'm a contributing author in Kyle Draper's Rethink Everything, About Buying a House, which was really, really cool. Multiple authors, and we really took it to perspective of how can we educate the younger generation and make it, understandable, tips, tricks, hacks. And for me, it was really highlighting how a renovation loan is not frowned upon. And you really can take, the options available to repair a house, or even just repaint or anything like that, and really make it your true dream home without finding that exact home that is on the market, because in this day and age there are flaws to houses, and it is a competitive market, so it is a competitive advantage to be able to access the renovation loans itself.
Very interesting stuff. Well, I'm gonna have to check that book out.
I actually have one for you. It's in my bag.
Oh, how about that? Too kind of you. Well, we appreciate you being here, and like I said, it's always great to sit down with people who are putting in the work, and you are certainly doing that. So keep up all the great things, and enjoy the rest of UWM Live. Kristen Genovese with CMS. Thanks for being here.
Thanks so much. Go Giants.
Oh, come on. Welcome back to Good Better Broker at UWM Live 2026, as we bring in Mike Fawaz, who is the broker owner and founder of Originate, based right here in Metro Detroit. Mike, it is great to have you with us.
Thank you, my brother. Appreciate you.
So I got to ask you, what does it feel like to be called a broker owner?
I'll be honest with you, it's still surreal to me. I've never thought that I would do this. I've spent my entire life helping brokers grow, helping loan officers, working with team members. I have a thing where I've always called people brother or sister, and sometimes people think hey, Fawaz just says it, but he doesn't mean it. But I genuinely do mean it. So even the team members that I worked with, they were my brothers and sisters. Their kids were my kids. So I've never thought in my life that I would do this. But then when I made the decision that it was time to step away and time to move on, I looked around and I'm like, so what do I do? What's Mike Fawaz good at? And I'm like, I'm good at mortgages. I'm good at building relationships. And just, if I'm good at both of those things, why not become a broker and join my brothers and sisters that I've been working with for the last 15 years of my life?
So for those that aren't familiar, and if you're not familiar, you haven't been paying attention to the industry, because this has been a big story over the last several weeks, Mike. You made the decision after a very long and successful career at Rocket TPO to leave the company, and then you end up starting your own mortgage broker shop, and you partner with us at UWM.
Yes.
It's been a big story. You've been able to do some interviews in the media with Matt Ishbia.
Yeah.
Reflecting back on everything now as we sit here at UWM Live, what comes to mind for you?
It's okay to be wrong sometimes. And I genuinely mean it from my heart. And people that know me know that I'm being very genuine right now, because that's how I roll. It's okay to be wrong. I thought for a very long time that Matt Ishbia was the bad person, the bad guy. I called Matt bully. I've done all that stuff. But look, when you've been doing something for so long, you look down this one freaking road and that's all you do. And I'm the type of person, when I put my head down, I don't look around me. I just get it done. So you believe in these things. And I'm sure Matt has done some crazy things. We all do. That's part of life. But I genuinely mean it from the bottom of my heart. The moment I walked away, I had zero intentions of doing anything, whether with Rocket or Matt or anyone. And then I met Matt and I sat down with him. And my daughter's standing right here right now. I remember coming home saying, I have a man crush on Matt Ishbia. She's like, what? And I could tell you, I'm never starstruck. That's not my style. I don't care. We're all human beings. So I don't care what you have. If you're a human being and you're a good one, I love you. And if you're not, you're not. But I said to her, the reason why is because I asked myself while I was listening to him, talking to him, how the hell did I not work with this guy 10 years ago? How the hell did I not decide that if I, myself, Mike Fawaz, Matt Ishbia, and all the team here, if we would have partnered up in some way, somehow, I question till now, what would we have been able to do? Because we have similar styles. This whole thing about driven, this whole thing about let's get it done, this whole thing about like, who cares? Don't sweat it. Just figure it out as you go. That I love that. And I could tell you, and this will shock everyone, I spent an hour and a half, me and him. He's never in that hour and a half, swear to God, asked me a question about work. He asked me more about my kids, my family. I asked him about this kid. Heard him taking a call from his son, wanting to go to McDonald's. It was just two human beings having a conversation. Two human beings that didn't probably see eye to eye or like never like really talked or spoke to each other, to just sit down and get to know each other. And in my mind, I'll tell you, I made multiple decisions in my life that I think I was blessed to do. Me having that lunch with Matt Ishbia was one of the best decisions I've made in my life from a career standpoint, because now I've recognized who he is and I'm ready to go, me and him, and build something massive.
It's an amazing story. And when you were just talking about that, the conversation with Matt and how it was all about like you and nothing to do with business, I think back to earlier in my UWM career, and this was before Matt, was, the owner of the Suns, and before UWM went public. People ask me, what's he like? And I said, he's like the guy he was back then. And I remember this distinctly. I lived in Beverly Hills at the time, which is, a local suburb here in Metro Detroit. And I would take my kids who were young to the playground on a Sunday morning. And there was Matt with his kids just hanging out. Regular guy.
Yeah.
Regular guy.
And I saw that.
And you saw that.
It was not a show. This was real. I felt it. And as I was sitting, having conversations with him, I'm like, it's crazy. Like, you can do whatever you want. And I've hung around people that are billionaires and millionaires. It just felt different. It felt so different with him. And I'm happy about it. Like, I was here today, right? I didn't see Matt for a sec. We didn't talk. But Matt saw my daughter, and he's never met her. But she was wearing an Originate shirt. And I think he figured it out. He walked up to her. She is on cloud 9 right now. He walked up to her. Are you Fawaz's daughter? I'm so proud of your dad. You don't understand what he's doing. He didn't have to. I didn't come see him. That's not what it is. Like, to me, I'm just a broker, part of this big family. And I want to be able to like build something special together. Matt talks about this 50.1%. I could tell you, and you can take that to the bank. I'm crazy enough to tell you that Originate will play a massive role in that. And I believe it. And you can take it to the bank. You'll see it. And if we do this 12 months from now, you'll ask me, how the hell did you do what you guys have done in 12 months? And I'll tell you, no, don't talk about the first 12. Let's talk about what's going to happen next 12 years.
Okay. So that's actually a good segue into the next question I have for you with Originate, because I have to ask you, Mike, as somebody who's so experienced in this model, what is your vision for this company, which is still in its infancy stage?
Yeah, look, to me, it's very simple. I ask myself, what am I good at? I'm good at sales. I'm good at mortgages. I'm good at relationships. But what can I do with all of this? Then I started thinking, like, I've met hundreds of brokers, thousands of brokers. I've sat in their offices, broke bread with them, had lunches, dinners, met their families, FaceTimed with them. Do you know what I do on Thanksgiving? I FaceTime. I actually know. I wish I can show it on camera. I don't know how we would. But one of the things that I do on Thanksgiving, because I'm going to segue. I'm going to give you an answer, but you're going to just bear with me. I remember days in my life in Africa when I was a kid where I would stand in a corner and watch people have dinner, but I didn't have the money to buy that dinner. I remember those days more than you'll ever understand. And I think for me, those days are actually what motivates me to keep moving forward. I've never used them as an excuse. The reason why I bring that up to you, people that are close to Mike Fawaz knows that the most important, amazing holiday to Mike Fawaz is Thanksgiving. Because I grew up in a world where I couldn't do that with my family. I grew up in a world where my family lived somewhere else. I lived somewhere else. I grew up in a world where I couldn't do that. And the moment I was able to celebrate me and my family, this freedom and the ability to actually buy dinner, it was Thanksgiving. So when now, to me, that's the most significant part of my life. Like Thanksgiving is a sacred thing in my household. So on Thanksgiving, I drop probably 300-400 videos. I wake up at 8 a.m. to my broker brothers and sisters, and I say, hey, Fawaz, it's Mike Fawaz. This video is not for you. I ask you that when you're doing dinner with your family tonight to play this video. And then I say, Fawaz's family, I want you to know how proud I am of this human being that I'm leaving this video for. And I do that for 300-400 people. That is not good at relationships. That is really, truly being invested in relationships. So when I thought about all of this, and if I am truly who I am, it only made sense to build Originate, a full-blown company, all in one, that has everything under the sun, from tech to leads to recruiting to marketing to platform where you can originate mortgages under one place. But the most important thing to me was, how do you give your brothers and sisters a platform that has transparency, a platform that shows them that it's not about me, it's about them. I grew up poor. I didn't have anything. I love the nice things in life, but you know what I also love? Human beings. So to me, it's not about making millions. To me, it's how do I feed my family, have my kids build something special, and at the same time, be very open about what we have and give it to my brothers and sisters in a transparent way. So that's why I did this. I could have easily, I was just telling my CFO last week, I could have easily just did a small broker shop, 2 people. I know I can do 50, 60 deals a month. Life would be great. I'd probably pick up golf, which I don't like golf, but I would have done something. But that wasn't my goal. I don't think I was born just for that. I think what I've been through my entire life tells me that I was born to build something massive. And that's my commitment with me. It's all about being transparency, and let's just be open about it. Let's do business and care about each other.
And a big part of the way that you're approaching this business, and we were talking about this before we started recording, is that you are a reflection of your past experiences.
Yeah.
And you briefly talked about the way that you grew up. It was funny. I asked you, Mike, when did you get into mortgages? You told me the exact date, May 23rd, 2011. Then you told me the exact day and time that you came to the United States.
Tuesday, March 3rd at 2:16 p.m., 1998.
And you remember the exact circumstances of this.
I remember every part of it. I showed up to the Metro Detroit airport wearing a pair of flip-flops, because that's all I could have afford, and a t-shirt. And a gentleman at customs, he was a customs agent, handed me his sweater. I remember it, and to this day I regret never. You don't think about these things then. I wish I would know who it is, but he handed me a sweater. He's like, that's crazy. And I walked, the doors open, and I saw snow, and I've never seen snow. It's funny because my parents are originally from the Middle East, from Lebanon, but they ran away from the Middle East during the 70s because of war to Africa, and we were blessed. Our first 10 years was good for them, and then we had 2 civil wars. I've been kidnapped. I've been shot. I'm stubborn. I'm crazy. I never gave up. And I promised myself, there's a picture of me standing in a corner, because in Africa, we've never had TVs. It's not a thing. I've never had electricity. Okay. And if I was lucky, we'd have candle. So, but if you wanted to watch, how right here, look at this, food, water, people are happy. Look at this world. That's not what we had.
You never took any of that for granted.
I've never seen this. So for us, if we wanted to watch a movie or watch the news, you walked into a little shack. Not even, there's no roof or sides. There's a small black and white TV. You pay 5 cents and you can watch it for an hour. I remember I didn't have the 5 cents to do. So I would stand in a corner and watch, and I would see these commercials, and it was all about America. So man, I used to say to myself, one day I'm going to do that. One day. And I can tell you right now, here, my sister's here, who's very important in my life, my family, my kids, my mom, my dad. I was able to do it, but I was one of the lucky ones. There's many of my people back there that don't have what we have. And that's why I don't forget about them. And that's why everything I do is to make sure that I'm still taking care of my people.
Based on everything you just said, I can only imagine what you do for a living carries so much significance for you to help people achieve that dream of home ownership, to lay down roots, to build a family, to build a life. Because you are sitting here with me, you are an embodiment of that American dream. The way you came to this country, the way you built a life for yourself, now you are helping other people in your adopted home country do similar type things.
It's crazy. Look, I think when I first moved here, I heard about the American dream. You know, you listen here, and I genuinely believe that people do take it for granted. And it's not for their fault. I'll use my kids so no one get offended. My kids are born in this country. They're blessed. They can do a lot of things that others can't do. So to them, I don't think they think about like, what is the American dream and what does that mean and how does that impact them? But to me, when you don't have a lot and you go through a lot, then you show up to a place where people treat you with respect, to a place when the cops pull you over, they're not trying to like hassle you so you can bribe them and blackmail you, to a place where you can walk down the street and no one is like coming after you. And you take this, you do believe in the American dream, and I believe in it wholeheartedly. And I genuinely believe that if people stop putting their petty BS aside, stop freaking putting their egos in front of them, and really sit down and take a moment and reflect on all the things that are important to them, and then ask themselves one question: how do you want to be treated? I'm sure all of us want to be treated good and want to be treated with respect, right? And if you ask yourself that question and you have those answers, do the same thing for others. Treat them that way. And if you can do that, we'll be all good. And I tell you, I've been through my fair share of this ups and downs in life and disappointments in life. But I've had in the last, call it 90 days, a lot of disappointments. There's a lot of brothers and sisters that I think I would have done a lot for. And I've done a lot, and I stepped up, and I was truly genuine with them. I woke up one day because I didn't have the position I have, the title that I have. We were gone. But I don't take that as an excuse. That's just going to be a moment where I learn and I move on from. And I use that to just make sure that I keep pushing forward. But look, it won't change me. Everyone is my brother and sister until you prove me wrong. So to the people that prove me wrong, good. Hopefully less people prove me wrong.
Well, I love the fact that you're staying true to yourself and the resolve that you have, and I can really feel the determination you have with this new company, with Originate, and we're thrilled to have you on our team.
Thank you.
So
I'm thrilled to be with you guys. I really am.
Thank you for sharing, not just about your company and what you're looking to do with Originate, but for sharing about your personal story. And I think that it allows people to get to know somebody and their motivations and why they do certain things when they really hear what they've been through.
Yeah.
So we appreciate you sharing that with us, and appreciate you being here. Thank you so much, Mike.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you.
Thank you for watching Good Better Broker and helping us support independent mortgage brokers everywhere. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to be notified about new videos, as well as your preferred podcast platform for a new episode every other Tuesday.